Yeah,
It's like a honeycomb feel.
that's why I did it.
Right? Like a beehive. That's so cute.
All right, guys. So sometimes I think like Linda had an accident maybe.
Yeah.
And, like her tool skipped when she was trimming and it messed up her foot. So this is footless now. Some things like later on we are going to throw some footless objects. But when you want a foot, sometimes you can save it by like. You can recenter it and actually throw another foot on it. And this is actually kind of a cool option. A lot of people will do this. Let's see. If you guys see me turning the wheel on out, I have to adjust this pedal. It's like,
I was going to ask you about that because the one at home is doing that.
okay. So I'll show you that.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was just a little bit out of center, sorry, recenter. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is, Linda, do you want your foot starting here? Or do you want this little ledge right here? Actually, I think I'm gonna take a little bit off.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say, I
I'm
hadn't
just making a
thought about that.
All right, we're gonna keep this kind of, well, she can change that later. Okay, so I'm gonna put a foot right here. So I'm kind of drawing that in, and then, ooh, I just happen to have this cool little tool handy. So I'm gonna score that. Yeah, and then we put like a little bit of water. So I'm going to score this again, like that. Okay. And I rolled out this coil. Is it big enough? Yes. Okay. Now this coil is way too huge, but you guys might want to experiment with this. You'll see why in a sec here. Okay, so whenever I'm doing this, I always take the coil and connect it from the bottom and roll it up like that. Okay, so it looks pretty goopy right now, but kind of squishing this into shape. And I'm going to go ahead and squish that down like this to the interior. Okay, now I'm going to do a little bit on the exterior. You can see how it's getting connected to the body. Okay, now this will test your drilling skills. So I've got to put a little water on here. And now I'm just going to, it's like, you guys know when you're doing your rims, you know, you've got your fingers on the sides, and then, so what I'm doing is I'm kind of pushing this down onto the cut. And it takes, like, you have to be kind of patient. If I had picked a smaller coil, it would be a little bit easier to do, but I wanted to show you guys, like, what happens if you put a monster coil on there. So see, I'm kind of, like, throwing it up, like, pulling it up, and then I'm going to squish it down a little bit. If you want, you can, like, trim this right here, like that. Okay, and I'm trying not to use too much water. Okay, so now I'm going to work on this connection right here. And I'm going to use my rib. So I'm using the curve, this curve right here. See how I kind of clean that up right there? You guys with me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm gonna come up here a little bit, and then you can even use this little curve right in here if you want to run that down right to the floor. So can you guys see? I basically made like a little bowl
On top.
on top of my thing, right? So this is too thick right now, right here. But this is the benefit of working with, like, attaching a little bit thicker coil. So now, like, if she wanted to, she could come in here. So I'm going to pull foot like that. So it's a very tall foot. So this is how some people will make, like, various forms, yeah. And then you can come in here and collar this if you want it to be a little bit more constricted. So see how that's a little bit more of a kind of a firmer or a tighter waist there. But if she doesn't want, and then you got to come in here and clean up that rim and all that stuff. But if you don't want it so tall, that's okay. There's a couple ways to get rid of that. You can, of course, do this, right, with your needle tool. Oops. Right, and then lift that off. You can also use your wire tool. So see, I'm just going to go in and then pull that off. That pretty groovy. So I'm also going to smash this down a little bit, and hopefully, like, you got to be a little careful because we're adding water to your cut, right? So the body. So you only have so much time to mess around with it before it gets soft, right? So if she wanted to, she could come down here and really flatten that, right? And then come in here and let's see, I don't have that's kind of a fun cut. But there's a lot of ridges, a lot of lines, kind of goes with the line. But anyway, so this is like kind of a cool way to, if you're like, I'm missing my foot, then you can put that on. She could even firm this up and trim it down even more, like if she wants to. But I would encourage you, like, go ahead and like try to do some wet trimming. It's a different challenge because this is sticky. But if you're looking for some challenges, if you're like, I've mastered this pottery thing, I need something more challenging in my life, right? Then you can do, try stuff like this.
That's already challenging now.
Yeah, I hear you. Ceramics is so hard, it really is. But that's what I think I like.
Honestly, that's probably why I like it too.
Yeah. So yeah, you guys can mess around with it all day. But so that's like a way to save your stuff. It's also a way to add really like a much taller foot. So imagine if she wanted to do a foot that was this tall, right? Like that's a lot of clay to leave down there. And like the trimming involved and the timing, to like try to firm up, it's just like, it would be like that, you would have a trust fund. Then I'd be like, you're a trust fund baby. Because you have all the time in the world to wait for this to get firm enough to trim,